Now today, you've caught me in a bit of a myth-busting kind of mood, because whenever I browse online stories and news stories, I'm immediately reminded of why I record this daily tech podcast, because it almost feels like there is this ready-made narrative sometimes that everybody just blindly follows. But I want to start creating a new narrative. And I know you do. That's why you listen to this show, right? For example, we've all seen those news stories with a headline saying AI or robots are coming to take your job. And people read these stories and think, you know what, I'm doomed. And it's too late for me to change now. But the reality, of course, is there are thousands and thousands of job vacancies sitting unfilled with incredible salaries on offer too. And the problem, of course, is the tech skills gap. So you know where I'm going to head with this, right? I mean, let's do the math. Old roles are disappearing, as they're not going to be needed. New roles are sitting empty, pay great money, but they need new skills. So surely, maybe we all just need to think about reskilling. Stop being pedantic, Neil. It's not that easy. That's what many of you might have just shouted at your device. But let's look at the facts. I recently saw in Phoenix that Steve Wozniak created a program that will reskill people and give them a job at the end of it. So then when I returned to the UK, I set out to see if there was anything similar over here. Now, a Google search later revealed that there was. Opus Recruitment Solutions and Knology are tackling the tech skills problem directly with a technology conversion course. And again, at the end of it, when people have graduated from that course, it puts people in jobs. But enough of my internet searches. I invited the co-founder of Knology onto the show today to tell me a little bit more. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Bristol here in the UK so we can speak with Pete Anstey, co-founder of Knology, and he's going to talk about that technology conversion course and also how they're working with Opus to get people in jobs that have completed that course. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Peter. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Pete Anstey. I'm one of the co-founders on Knology. What we do in a very simple way is train people for tech careers. And when I say tech, it's quite a big wide word. Tech is more software, digital, web development type roles. Knology runs a 12-week boot camp system which teaches people code, software, agile thinking, and then places those people into their first role in the industry.
And I absolutely love what you guys are doing here because you're addressing that tech skill shortage directly. But can you just, for everyone listening that may or may not be aware, but you just tell them the scale of the tech skill shortage at the moment and also what skills are in most demand right now?
Yeah, well, there's the statistics of the scale. So the UK government came out in 2017, a couple years back now, obviously, and said that they felt that there was a 40,000 person skills shortage in technology. So the demand from businesses and jobs being created, there was a 40,000 windfall from that. Now that number's risen. We're probably closer to about 65 or 70,000 because the general estimation, this is from the UK Chamber of Commerce, said that it could be closer to 100,000 jobs going unfilled every year due to the skills shortage by 2020, which of course is being contributed to by something pretty big happening in a couple of months' time in Brexit. Because not only do we have a skills shortage, our talent pool, predominantly speaking, is European. We get a lot of our talent from Europe. 1 in 3 of applicants who comes to technology roles is based out of Europe, so we're about to lose that by the looks of it, or have some certain changes in rules. And in the wider context of what that means for businesses is everyone can talk about the wider context, but it's what it means in the reality. So salaries are rocketing in technology. People are being paid lots and lots of money because the demand is so high. It's created a bit more of a culture where people look to move on from jobs very quickly. They pick up projects. So consistency for companies looking to build tech products is more difficult. And that is how most businesses feel the tech skills gap, whether they know that it's because of that or they just think it's greedy, contractors or people who are asking for too much. That's kind of how it's felt on a very small level by companies. And obviously in the time it takes them to actually source these people, to find someone for a vacancy, and just the quality of people coming through, just not being nearly strong enough for what they're really looking for. But, if they meet 7 out of the 10 boxes you were trying to tick in a job spec, they're probably going to end up with the role. So it's a very big kind of national problem from a perspective of everybody's looking, but then in a very kind of granular way for lots of companies, it's reflected in the difficulty of just hiring people.
And after nearly 800 interviews on this podcast, I've noticed that there's something that most startup founders and business owners have got in common, and that's they come across a problem and they decide to do something about it. So myself and everybody listening, we all know that there is a tech skill shortage out there. But I'd be interested in finding out more about your startup story and how you got where you are now, because I did read a little online about how you left university feeling slightly let down by the system. It didn't actually provide you with a clear outcome. So can you tell me a little bit more about your story and how you got here?
Yeah, no, that's very much the case. And if you look at my background from university, I am not a tech profile. I studied creative writing and theatre at university, which is exactly as employable as it sounds. I never envisioned myself ever working in technology, nor really going anywhere near it. It was something everybody else did. And I started my own career in recruitment. I did a lot of graduate level recruitment and a lot of kind of core level junior roles and getting careers started prior to going into the financial services industry and doing more headhunting, executive search style work at a kind of really top end of some of the larger banks in the world. And what I found interesting as I moved through into a more strategic role, so designing how companies scaled and working with them over recruitment strategy, in particular in tech, was it didn't matter if you were one of the bigger players. It didn't matter if you were Facebook or Uber or Google or a startup, right, or something really small. And on the other end, your problem was exactly the same. Everybody knew about this technical skills gap. Everybody bemoaned what it meant for their recruitment processes and their ability to scale. And yet nobody really was actioning a difference to do that. And you can't fix the technical skills gap by hiring mid-level engineers. You know, they're kind of already in the technical talent pool. And so I would often promote this idea of them hiring more juniors, you know, trying to fix their problem 12 months from now. You know, trying to be a bit more forward-thinking, you know, sometimes difficult to do for a tech company that is under huge demand to deliver right now. And if we're, you know, coming out of that as a wider point as to why maybe the technical skills gap exists in the first place, the demand from these companies, their investors, the teams to deliver products so quickly doesn't exactly foster an environment that juniors can do well in. You know, that's not exactly the type of environment that is going to support you, allow you to fail, you know, have a structure in there for you to do well. So just these companies and these teams just don't hire juniors in the first place. And the relevancy of the skills, you know, when I was talking about my experience of the education system, which I loved going to uni, but basically switching off your life for 3 years, but from a career perspective, you know, it wasn't so good. I mean, you know, reality is you don't get taught commercial skill at university. You're more likely to open a book than you are to try something in practice. And you think about that, you know, being sat in an office. When was the last time you opened a book on the, you know, on the floor and started reading during work? You know, it just doesn't happen.